Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Zee Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
And today we're taking a look at Runemasters here, which is a cooperative game in which you are defending a temple. And each of you is going to have your own special abilities. You'll be rolling dice. You'll be using those dice to beat up the monsters, to block the lanes, to basically trigger all the special abilities you need to in order to survive and win together. Let me go ahead and show you how the game works. We'll come on back after that, tell you what we think of it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Zee Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
And today we're taking a look at Runemasters here. This is a cooperative tower defense game that is driven by dice. On your turn, you have some new monsters coming at you, sort of following these lanes towards your temple in the center, and you roll dice and use them to move, to fight, to defend your lanes, and to trigger some of your own special abilities. It sounds like a lot, but the game's actually really simple and straightforward. Let me show you how it works. We'll come on back. We'll tell you what we think of it. Here we're taking a look at the game setup for 4 players. We've got the temple in the center, the 4 standees, which I'm lying down here for the sake of the camera. One of us in each of these quadrants, and then the lanes that can hold the monsters advancing into the temple here, trying to destroy it. The game is going to be over either when we hit the Dawn card. This Dawn card here is shuffled into the bottom 3 cards of the monster deck. And when that is revealed, we win. All the monsters are killed by daylight. And we lose if either all 4 guardians here, or all of them, fall. Or if the temple then takes enough hits to go down to 0, then we will lose together. The game is, of course, cooperative. So, we have a handy-dandy player aid right here. Let me talk you through what a game turn looks like. So the first thing we do is, we're going to denote a star player, give them this. They keep it for the whole game, okay? They're going to reveal an event. And when it comes back around to being this player's turn, they reveal a new event. The composition of this deck of good, bad cards is the difficulty in the game. Going off of the rule book, if you have basically more bad events, the game is harder. You can make it easier by shuffling in more good events. So we reveal the first one. This one happens to be a good one because it's green. And it says, Curative Mana. You can choose to gain health points instead of mana points when you kill a monster. Okay, this is in effect for the entire round here. Then we are going to go through these steps. The first one is monster reinforcements. You place the first monster from the deck in the 3rd space of its colored path. We reveal the card. It is an archer. It is green. It goes here in the 3rd spot of the green lane. If that spot was filled, it goes to the 4th. If that's filled, it goes to the 5th, and so on. If they're all filled, actually, it hits this player. And now I go to the next step here, which is the guardian actions. To do this, we roll dice. And so this player is going to roll all these dice, and they are going to utilize these dice however they want to. So there's a couple of things I can do, okay? I can move around the temple. I can only hit things in front of me. So if I want to be here, for example, I could spend this and move over here. If you move somewhere occupied, the person there goes to where you were. So you're basically swapping places. You can also spend this symbol, seen in the center of the board, to move anywhere. So that lets you go wherever you need to go. You can hit the monsters in front of you by assigning them these weak points. And so I could do this one here, would hit there, and I get a token and place it on there. And then if I can figure that one out and get it there, then I'll take out this werewolf, okay? So that's the way that works. I am also allowed to discard any die to level up my super attack down here that sort of moves along. And when it's fully charged, I can unleash a super attack that we each have, a different version of that. And then there's also a symbol, this symbol here, that lets me do my special ability right there. Again, this die and what you discard does not matter. This one has to be that face. Since I didn't really get what I was hoping for, I could spend my MP to re-roll dice. So let's say I did this. I spent this die on here to hit that monster. I'm going to spend one more and re-roll one of these dice. I'll re-roll this one. I got the same thing. I could do it again. I could also do this, by the way. I could do these other hits could go on that monster back there, eliminate them. If I eliminate them, I get MP back. Except this turn, because of the curative mana, I could actually heal, but I don't need to do that. I could re-roll, try to get different things, what have you. Once I'm done using these dice, I can also just, again, throw them away and level this up. Once I'm done using the dice, that's the end of that step, and we go to the third and last step, which is move the monsters, okay? So all the monsters are going to advance towards the first spot. If they're already in the first spot, then they hit. If someone is standing there, then they take the hit. If no one is standing there, and this could happen because someone has died in the game, or it's a game with fewer than 4 players, then the temple takes the hit. You're trying to protect the temple. So you don't want that to happen. The monsters are going to have a few different abilities sometimes. The werewolves have nothing special. The archer over here, if there's no one in front of him, he doesn't just move, he also fires an arrow. So no matter where he is, he'll attack. He doesn't have to wait to get to the front, but he would move now. The wizard over here, he is immune against a special ability we have called Mana Release, where I get to spend all of my mana, spend it all, down from 4 to 0, and I just blow up a monster in front of me, okay? So he's immune to that, because he's a wizard. And then the archer, you already saw an archer. So that would be my turn. I bring out a new monster, I roll and use the dice, possibly re-rolling them, and then they advance and hit me. And now we go to the next player. The next player starts by revealing a monster, putting that monster out. It would go into 3, but it's taken, so it goes into 4. The warrior here says that he cannot be wounded by a re-rolled die. So if you re-roll dice, you can't hurt him with those dice anymore. He goes there. This player rolls, uses their dice to do whatever they want to, using perhaps the special shield ability here, you know, or moving around or attacking these people. They advance. If there was already somebody in the first spot, they don't advance. Instead, they hit, and we go to the next player, and then the next player until it comes back to me, the first player here, and I reveal a new event, and we keep going. So that's the idea. A couple of things I haven't talked about here are the big bad superpower that you have. You can do that twice in the game. This little token has a 1 on one side and a 2 on the other side. After you do it one time and this resets back down to 0, you flip it over to the 2 to let you know you can do it again. And if you do it that second time, then you just remove the token. So 2 times. They're incredibly powerful. Like this one is strike any weak point of each monster in space 1 of each path. So I can hit all of these people in one of their weak points. These are called the weak points. So very strong stuff, okay? The other thing you can do is you can spend 2 matching dice to put out a blocker, basically a shield, and that keeps the monsters from advancing. They take the shield instead. So 2 matching dice can also be used for that. Those are the 2 things I haven't talked about. And of course, everybody's special ability will be different. They're slightly asymmetrical, all these characters. So that's the flow. Once you get through this deck, you are going to hit that Dawn card. You are going to win. And if a player drops out of it, they will still sit at the table and still participate. It is possible that they can be brought back even. I believe one of these players has the ability to bring you back, second breath over there. But otherwise, you're just not in that section anymore, and that means that the temple could much more easily be hit that way. So there you go. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how the game operates, what is happening in it. Let's go ahead and go back up top. So this is one that caught my eye originally because it's a looker. It's a very pretty game. It comes in a nice package. I like the size of this, and I enjoy the idea of a castle defense type game, you know, as a genre, the lane defense, keeping monsters at bay that keep marching up on you. So it's one that I was intrigued by, and then the gameplay, you get into it, and it's very simple. It's a very straightforward game. It's kind of Yahtzee-esque a little bit. You're going to be rolling dice, and you're using that combination of dice to do whatever you can to make progress towards winning, flipping over monsters and what have you. So I like that. I like the mana being very clean and straightforward, that you can spend one of those to re-roll a single die, but you basically get one roll of all the dice. So I think that works pretty well. And you do have a lot of options on your turn as to how you want to allocate those things. You know? I do enjoy the way that works.
Yeah, I think for me, my probably favorite thing about this game is the weight and what it's achieving at that weight. You know, it is, like you said, it's a very simple game. I feel like this has a wide audience of who you could play it with.
Right.
You know, you can play it with your, I've kind of put it a family weight, I guess, because you can play it with your kids. Your kids, if there's an older one there as well, they can probably play it together. It's something that you can take to a family gathering. And so I really think that for a tower defense game, it is very straightforward, but still there's enough going on with the dice and options with them that has a discussion behind it. You know, you use the dice to take out the monsters. You can also use them to move. You can get rid of two that are the same in order to to block a lane. You know, things like that. There's enough combos with it that it leads to some interesting decisions and conversation.
Now, a couple of things I had some issues with here. I think the game... the length of the game is a little bit interesting. I actually found it to be a little too long. And it's not that the game is long. It's too simple for 4 players. Because you're really just doing the same thing. You're going through that deck of cards, deck of monsters. And about 3/4 of the way through the game, I'm like, all right, I'm done. We keep doing the same thing over and over. Roll. Ooh, I can use yellow to move to yellow. And I can hit this guy with the green. Or I can move to green and spend the 2 yellow. You're doing a lot of the same things. It's a little long. With 2 players and 3, I thought it was a little bit better, the time frame for the interest in the game. And I also find it to be pretty repetitive. You know, I find it to be simplistic, repetitive. Not a lot of high highs and low lows in this game.
Yeah, I feel like at 2 especially, it's very repetitive.
Yeah.
Because it is just back and forth, back and forth. And yes, you're not going through as big of a deck to get to that Dawn card, but it's still, because it's back and forth, it feels very repetitive. But at 4, there's a little bit too much time between your turns.
Yeah.
So 3 really is a sweet spot for this game. But that being said, even a long game, you're talking 30 minutes maybe, 35.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
I also wish that there were more effects, more special, cool effects to play with. The event cards, not only are there very few, but they're not that splashy, that interesting, and I am not a fan of the, 3 bad, 1 good, 1 nothing. There's always 1 nothing out of 5 cards. They give you 1 nothing. It just seems kind of mind-blowing to me. Just give me 4 cards. I don't need the 1 nothing card. But, because after the 5th round... It just keeps being the nothing card. Nothing happens after that 5th one. So if the game goes longer than 5 rounds, it's just no event anymore. We kind of, it feels like it gives up on its own mechanism. You know, halfway through the game, maybe 2/3 of the way through the game, it's like, that's enough events. Just keep playing.
Interesting, because I think I really liked that. I felt like it kind of set the tone of that session in the beginning, because it is such a random game. I mean, you're rolling dice, and there's very little mitigation. Yes, your mana, but you always also have to find ways to power that mana up. Things like that. So I actually liked that the events kind of complicated it at the end, but then it goes away.
At the beginning.
Yes, thank you. At the beginning, and then once you get into gameplay, it kind of melts away. And so I really liked that. For me, my biggest complaint and hang up on the game is we'll call it the asymmetry of the players. Of the characters in this game. They each have a little special power that one side of the die can trigger, or they can do their big special power up twice a game.
Right.
And they just seemed very situational. For your power thing that you can do, it's only if one of the dice is on a 6. And only if that power is applicable, to what you're trying to achieve on that turn. There were multiple times that I threw away my special ability and just used it to power up my big special.
Sure.
And there was games that I played of this where I spent the whole game just trying to line up using my big special power. I don't think I've had a playthrough of this yet where I've used my big special effectively or efficiently twice in the game, which is the maximum you can do. So they just feel a little... I like how simple they are, because I would not want completely asymmetrical characters, because that would take away or add to the weight of the game, and then I think the game would outweigh itself. It'd be
too much for what
it is. Its own way, right? So I like the simplicity of them, but they're just not interesting, and the powers don't trigger enough at the right time or with the right situation scenario.
I agree with that. They don't feel fun, ultimately. Like, I'm a barbarian. What do? I hit 1 in each lane. Or I'm the ranger. What do? I hit all in 1 lane.
Right. One time, not the whole thing.
All right. Sure, that's cool. I mean, that's a good power. Like, it's an effective power. It's a powerful power. It's just not a spicy power.
Right.
It's not like, oh, yeah, I get to do this thing. Cool. It's kind of boring is my point. Yeah.
If you can happen to get to the right lane at the right time when there is a lot there and have the right symbols in order to trigger it.
Sure.
You know, and if not, then, you know, try again next turn. And it doesn't feel like it plays out. So I think I've had a game of this where I didn't do either my special power or my big power
It
of
just
one.
doesn't
Because it's just like, you know what, it's negligible. So
Especially with two players. It's so fast. The game is so short that you're like, I never got to it.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah. So those were disappointingly flat to me.
Sure. Well, for me, I'm coming down at a 6.5 on this one, and that it might sound high for how much I'm kind of ragging on the game, but I think it does have an audience, and I think that audience is someone who likes this theme a lot, and the artwork is the theme here, right? Who likes this vibe, someone who's not going to play this frequently. This is a good game to play and put away and come back to it in a while because you'll remember 90% of the rules. And, you know, whoever you're playing with will be like, oh, yeah, that, the temple defending game, you know. Sure, yeah, that one. Oh, it'll remind you of the two things you kind of forgot and we're off and running.
Right.
It'll be 25 minutes, right? So for folks that like the theme, that like castle defense video games, especially simple video games, you know, you have kids that like that kind of thing, this might be a good one to show them a board game that reminds them of those kinds of video games. And the dice are so welcoming. It's such a simple mechanism that it feels good to be like, flip over a monster. Oh no, an archer. And then you do stuff. Yeah. That feels good. It's repetitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a little bit higher, but not much. I'm coming down at a 7, and I think it's because I am in that group. This is a game that you can, like I said before, you can play with your kids, you can play with your non-gamer friends. This is one that I would have in my collection to take home for every Christmas and play with my nephews, and they range age 7 to 14. You know, and maybe I show them once, and sometimes they're playing together by themselves, and then we put it away till next Christmas, or until they come visit me, you know, or it's the rainy day game that the kid wants to play. So it's not one that's going to be, I think, that family favorite, but it's a good solid game that's going to create memories that you're excited to come back to, not when you need to, but, you know, every Christmas. You know, after playing, they probably wouldn't go buy the game, but they're excited for me to bring it back next year.
Sure.
You know, and so I think for me, it has that place in a collection, and if that's a situation, then maybe it's for you as well. So it definitely gets the recommendation for me in those situations. So 7.
There you go, folks. 6.57 for Runemasters. That's going to do it for us. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Zee.
And I'm Camilla.
And this is Runemasters. Defend your temple.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games. We do top 10s. We play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.
Looks really clean and lovely and well put together. The second thing that caught my eye was that it looks like Wingspan.
Yeah, it definitely feels bigger than a deck of cards.
Yeah.